welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you just how I turned Skyrim into Dark Souls with just over a dozen mods. But before we get into it, make sure to check my Patreon for my mod list. It's 100% free. I am updating it though as we speak. But other than that, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, I just hit partnership, so make sure you join the family down below. Just hit join. But let's get right into this. The first mod you want to grab to start this off is Attack Modern Combat Overhaul, or ADXP, whichever people prefer to call it. But when installing this, you want to choose the Distar experience as the second option to make sure it's completely compatible with the new animations that you'll be installing. Like for instance, I use For Honor animations. They kind of grew on me at first. I didn't really like them like other people, but like I said, they grew on me over time. These animations can be found on Nexus, or you can get the patron version, but you do have to pay some money for it. I do have the patron version, but a good alternative if you don't want to use these animations is Nordic Animation Complete Pack by Kimming. It's what all my weapons that aren't using the For Honor animations currently use. And after you finish setting up ADXP, the next mod we need is a dodge mod, and I prefer dodge modern combat overhaul because it goes with ADXP perfectly. But if you don't want to use Deemco, you can use TK dodge. That's just personal preference. The reason why I use Deemco is because it has two different types of dodges. One, it has a step dodge if you push the hotkey once, but you can also roll dodge if you push the hotkey twice, which is for further distance for dodging. But one thing I will say TK dodge has an advantage of Deemco is it lets you change the iframes more easily because it's in the configuration files, while Deemco is tied to the animation, so you have to edit the animations to add more iframes to it, which most people don't know how to do. After the attack and dodge figured out, because you don't really need to change much with the dodge and attack modern combat overhaul, the next mod we need is precision to top those two off. Precision allows for attack collisions to be more accurate, but it also allows you to increase or decrease your attack range based on your personal preference. But it also implements a plethora of other settings in the MCM because this mod is highly configurable, so you definitely want to get... The main point of mentioning this besides the collision cones is actually for the hit stop and the camera shake, because everyone keeps asking me about that. Even though I say precision, they still ask me because they're a little confused, plus they need the settings. So I will be showing the settings above, and I'll also put it in the description because I love you guys. But besides the hit stop, there's also things like hit impulse, which basically allows you to configure how NPCs react to your hits. It's not like a stagger, but it'll show how their body flinches when you hit them. You really aren't going to touch this too much because it can cause weird glitches and visual effects, especially depending on where the NPC is standing at the time of the hit, so I usually leave this pretty much alone. But there's also recoil as well, such as when you're too close to a wall, your character's sword or whatever weapon you're using at the time will bounce off, but you can configure this to have a smaller collision so it won't trigger as much, or you can turn it off completely. Or you can just have it turned off for power attacks, which is what I actually do. And so the next mod is just a simple one. It's called Dynamic Impact / Effects. It essentially does exactly what it says in the name. Instead of a boring slash, you get cinematic effects instead. When you slash certain things such as bandits or even centurions, you will see a different slash effect, especially depending on the weapon. If you use a sword, you will get a bloody slash, but if you use a bow, you won't even see the blood. You'll see the impact, but it will be very small because that's kind of how an arrow is. But if you use melee, then the impacts will be pretty big. And when I say melee, I do mean unarmed. You will see the impact a lot, but you won't see any blood until you kill the target, which kind of makes sense in my opinion. This next mod is for the NPCs. It's called Skyrim Combos AI Revolution, or just Scar if you're a simple person like me. This mod provides new behaviors to NPCs so they aren't just attacking once and then stopping so that you can kill them instantly, but instead they keep their combos going and can judge the distance of which combo they should use, such as if you are far away, they will power attack, but if you are up close, they will spam light attack you. But in terms of that spam light attack I mentioned, they will keep going even if out of stamina, so to counter that you also want to grab Scar's stamina limitation. It is an add-on for Scar, which will limit NPCs to stop their attacking when low on stamina or out of stamina, finally giving you a chance to counter attack and probably kill them if you're smart enough. This also allows NPC humanoids to use ADXP besides Jogger. That's kind of a different mod that I'll probably introduce later on. But if you have this, you can find an animation for NPCs to use that's separate from yours, such as me. I use the Elden Ring animations for NPC, and I use Warlord animations or For Honor animations, as I said before, and also Complete Nordic Pack, which also is for players only unless you get the all-in-one. But now this brings me to my next mod in the list, probably one of the most important ones. Just like the other ones, no favoritism over here. This mod is called Valhalla Combat, adding in a few more systems of combat such as shown above, the time block. Sekiro Combat S does do this as well, but I prefer Valhalla Combat's way of implementing it. Generally, the block will stagger the enemy briefly, allowing you for a counter attack, but I also use another mod called Unblockable, which allows enemies to keep attacking through guards as well as the player, just for those NPCs that prefer to block 24/7. On top of the time block system, Valhalla also implements the stamina system, such as when you light attack, you will lose stamina, or if you power attack, you'll lose a lot more stamina, especially if you miss. But if you hit and on contact, you will regain stamina as the opposite, so it's also positives and cons to it. That's why this part goes so well with Scar stamina limitation, because it really limits NPCs and their combos, giving you a chance to fight back. Also implements another way of stamina blocking, so that when an NPC blocks you, you can also take away their stamina per time, but you'll also lose stamina as well. So you want to make sure you're careful with this system, because it can make or break you, especially if you're using ModList, which is basically what this video is about. But aside from that, there's also the execution system. One of my favorite parts of Valhalla combat. It essentially is like poise in a sense. When you break the enemy's execution bar, their bar will flash red, giving you notification that you actually can't execute them at this moment. They can recover from it though, based on how you have the settings set up, but otherwise you can't execute them no matter how much health they currently have. The execution system has a lot of factors going into it, and you can configure them all in the MCM, such as if you want the execution to happen on hit, or if you want the enemy to fall down when their health bar is flashing red, which is actually a good option, because otherwise they will keep attacking, and while the enemy is attacking, you cannot execute them. I'm not really sure if that was planned or not though, but it does fit well into the combat. This next one is super simple. It's called Maxu's Modern Blocking Overhaul. Unfortunately, it's not on Nexus, but it is 100% free, so I will link it in the description. Basically, it dynamically does a short stagger backwards for your character and adds on animations to that stagger to make blocking more realistic. It's not like it's a stagger that's gonna get you killed, but it does make it more fun to look at. And if you want to add on to this, you can use Smooth's Dynamic Block Hit, which is an add-on to this mod, basically making blocking animations dynamic based on the weapon you use to block and the actor currently hitting you, essentially how much force is being used against you with each hit, along with how much stamina you actually have at the time, so you may end up falling if you have low stamina. The next mod we got today is Poise. The perfect addition to this blocking mod is Poise. Poise introduces a new stagger system to Skyrim, allowing characters and NPCs in Skyrim to actually be staggered, basically depending on the amount of poise you have, which can also be configured in the any files. When you grab poise, you also want to stack poise breaker on top of that, because those two are pretty much a complete combo at this point. I don't recommend poise without poise breaker unless you enjoy suffering, because poise breaker makes configuring in settings so much easier. The stagger animations are dependent on where you are hit and also who you are hit by, such as if you're hit by a humanoid like a bandit, your character will just stumble forwards or backwards depending on where you're hit. But if it's by a big creature, you will be sent flying, and depending on how long you are sent flying, or at least laying on the ground, that will get you killed, which is why you want to configure the settings. But I did add one more mod onto Poise. That mod is Melee Power Knockback, because at base, Poise doesn't allow the player to ragdoll NPCs, besides if you have something like Unrelenting Force. But with this mod, you can power attack and you can send enemies flying into the ragdoll state, which Poise actually replaces with its own animations, which is basically what giants do. This mod can also be completely configured to your liking, so that you can only do it, or you can allow NPCs to do it, and you can also choose the chance of it happening. The final mod of today, just to top everything off, is Elven Counter. This is that mod that everyone sees when everyone glows white and does a power attack. This mod allows you to capitalize on Valhalla's combat time block. When you perform the time block well, NPCs will stagger, allowing you a chance to use a counter attack and deliver this powerful blow, which does more than normal power attack. Of course, you want to be careful when using this, because it can get addictive and you'll find yourself trying to do this a lot. But the thing is, NPCs can also use this and mess you up pretty badly, especially with this list that you have. That's it for today, guys. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments or any combat mods that you think I should have included in this video. But other than that, leave a like and subscribe, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.